A chess game is just like a story, has three parts. A beginning, in chess that's called opening, a middle part that we call middle game, and an end, which we refer to as the end game. Here are the most important things to know in the opening. Develop all your minor pieces as soon as possible.
Bishops and knights are minor pieces, and the queen and rook are major pieces.
Control the center. The four squares right in the middle of the chessboard are called the center. They have special importance all throughout the game. That's why you should start controlling them early on. Put your king in safety. Be sure to castle. We have learned about the castling rule earlier. After you develop your knight and bishop on one side, usually the next move should be castling, like this. As long as there are many pieces and especially queens on the board, the king is safer in a castling position, hiding in one of the corners. Here is a sample game how white should start the game, developing in such a way that their pieces control the center and then they put their king to safety by castling. Black will do all the wrong things, something that should not be followed. White started out by playing e4, advancing the pawn, which is one of the most common starting moves in chess. It has several purposes. First of all, it opens up two diagonals. One for the queen, so the queen can get out a little bit later, not in the very beginning though, and for the bishop, so the bishop can get out. As well as occupies a center square and attacks the d5 center square as well. Now, black does something very, very wrong. Ignores the fight for the center and played a5. That's a very bad move, should not be done. White again does the right thing and puts a second pawn in the center by playing d4, occupying another center square, as well as attacking the e5 center square as well. Also, it opened up the dark square diagonal for the bishop from c1 to later get out. Again, black should be doing similar things, fighting for the middle center squares, but they did not. Black played knight to a6. The knight is better developed towards the center, let's say, to c6, where it would control two center squares on e5 and d4. Knight a6 is another mistake for black. White again follows the principles we just learned by developing the knight to f3 and by that controlling two of the dark center squares on e5 and on d4. Also, it prepares the castling, as we'll see very soon. Black again did a bad move. Move the rook from a8 to a7. Black should be doing similar plans as white did. White again continues with developing by moving the bishop from f1 to c4. Now white is ready to castle on the next move. Also, the bishop from c4 is attacking the d5 center square. Black again made not a very good move. By playing f6, it also makes it impossible to castle anytime soon, because remember, when a bishop is on c4, even if the black knight and bishop would be out of the way, black could not castle, because that would be castling into a check, into an attack. That's not allowed. So f6 again does not develop a minor piece, which black should be doing, and doesn't improve black's position at all. White, on the other hand, is ready to follow up the plan and castle, and that's what white did in this game. So white so far is doing everything perfect, following the basic opening principles. Black made another mistake coming up. The knight moved back to b8. Another general advice for the beginning part of the game, the opening, is don't move the same piece twice or more times, unless you have an absolute need for it, such as the certain piece being attacked. Other than that, develop one piece at a time, a different piece each time, get all the pieces into the game instead of moving the same piece over and over. White now develop the knight to c3, again controlling two center squares on e4 and on d5. Black again ignores all the fight for the center and makes another bad move, moving the same piece a second time, moving the pawn to a4 with no specific purpose or need for it. And white finally getting the bishop out to e3, now completed the development of all the minor pieces and put the king in safety. This is a very good example of how white should play, and of course black should play better than they did in this game and develop in a similar way as white did. As we saw in this sample game, white successfully completed the 3 opening goals we set. In the meantime, black completely ignored the basic opening principles. Among two good players, this would be a winning advantage in development for white. Black should have made moves similar to white, fighting for the crucial d4, e4, d5 and e5 center squares. Castle as soon as possible and not move the same piece more than once early on in the game. After we have developed our minor pieces and have castled, we usually would connect our rooks by moving our queen out of the way, like this, to d2 or e2. Then you would see the rooks being connected, and then the next thing we would do, centralize our rooks by moving one to the center d file and the other rook to the middle e file, just like this. This is an ideal setup for white, or in a mirror situation for black. It's not the only one, but it's a sample that more or less how you should